This is Shir 19 in our series on Avodas Habitachon. In today's Shir, we explore the fundamental source of the obligation to engage in Ishtadlus effort regarding Parnasa. We find a significant machlokes between the Chovos HaLevavos and the Mesillas Yesharim regarding whether work is a commandment or a penalty. As an introduction to these two opinions, we look at the verses in Bereshis that serve as the foundations to these views. In Perek Aleph, Psukim Chavav through Lamed Hey, the Torah describes how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created man with distinct characteristics, granting him dominion over the fish, the birds, and animals. Hashem created male and female and instructed them to be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and conquer it. Hashem then told Adam that he was placed in Gan Eden and that all the plants, trees, and fruits were for him to eat. He was also given all the beasts of the earth to use. Later, in Perek Beis, in Pasuk Tetzvav, it states that Hashem took Adam and placed him in Gan Eden, la'avda u'l'shamra, to work it and to guard it. The central question is, what does it mean to work and guard the garden? This is before the existence of the first sin. The Rishonim, including the Radak and the Rabbeinu Bechaya, offer two primary interpretations for this verse. One, physical labor. One interpretation is that Hashem placed Adam in the garden to perform physical labor, such as working the ground, removing weeds, plowing, preparing the soil for planting, as well as guarding it from wild animals. This presents an interesting chiddush, a novel idea, that Adam was physically working the land even before the first sin. Option number two is spiritual labor. Conversely, some Chazal suggest that these terms are just euphemisms. They explain that La'avda really refers to Talmud, the study of Talmud, and L'Shamra refers to performance of mitzvahs. And in this view, Adam was not working the ground, but was essentially devoted to Torah and mitzvahs. At the end of Perek Gimel, the Chovos HaLevavos identifies this pasuk in Bereshis La'avda u'L'Shamra as a source for the commandment of Ishtadlus. He writes that when a person works using various means of parnasa, they should have specific intentions. V'yechavein b'tirdas liboy, v'gufoy b'siboy min hasibos, v'asibov aleha, la'amoy b'mitzvahs habari tziva ha'adam l's'asek b'siboy sa'olam. A person should intend through the preoccupation of his heart and body in various means to fulfill the commandment of the Creator who commanded man to engage in the means of this world, basically to provide for his parnasa. According to this Chovos HaLevavos, this mitzvah was given to Adam HaRishon via the instruction of La'avda u'L'Shamra. This view explicitly maintains that even before the first sin, while Adam was still in Gan Eden, he was commanded to physically work the land, making Ishtadlus a proactive, positive commandment for every person. Opinion 2, the Mesillas Yesharim. A different perspective emerges after Adam's sin by eating from the Eitz Hadas. In Bereshis, Perek Gimel, Pasuk Yud Tes, Hashem decrees a klala, a curse, V'zeyes apecha toicha lechem ashuvcha el adama. By the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread until you return to the ground. This implies that man must now be toirech harbe, toil much to work the soil. The Mesillas Yesharim in Perek Chaf Aleph explains that a person would have been able to sit and do nothing, and the decree of his livelihood would still have been fulfilled, if not for this penalty. The Mesillas Yesharim argues that this verse is the reason mankind is now obligated to do Ishtadlus. He describes it as a tax that all mankind must pay. No one can escape it. This is the meaning of the Medrash Seichar Toiv on Tehillim, Perek Kuf Chavav. Although one might think they could be Yoshev u'Batel, basically be idle, the verse says Hashem will bless you only b'chol mishlach yadcha asher ta'aseh, in all the work of your hands that you do. Crucially, the Mesillas Yesharim clarifies that while effort is an obligation, it is not the actual cause of success. He says, Avaloi hishtadlus hu hamoyel ela hamuchrach, but it's not the effort that is effective, rather it is simply necessary. Once a person has performed their Ishtadlus, they have fulfilled their obligation, they essentially paid their tax, and the Birchas Shemayim, the heavenly blessing, can then rest upon them. The ideal model is that of the Chassidim HaRishonim, who made their Torah study their primary focus, and their work secondary. Because they prioritized Torah, both their learning and their parnasa were sustained. They performed a minimal amount of work to satisfy the requirement of the tax. And from that point forward, they relied entirely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In summary, the Mesillas Yesharim defines Hishtadlus as a penalty and an obligation, but maintains that the result comes from Habitachon and divine blessing, not from the effort itself. This is also the view supported by the Michtav Eliyahu in Chelik Aleph, page 188. In conclusion, we are left with a fundamental dispute. The HaLevavos says Hishtadlus is a commandment, a mitzvah, given before the first sin. And Mesillas Yesharim says Hishtadlus is a penalty, a knas, and a tax resulting from the first sin. In the next year, we will delve into the deeper roots of this machlokes.